Hey everybody, this is Jacob from the On The Go podcast. Tune in every Monday and Friday as James and I tackle a variety of topics ranging from pop culture to current events.
And speaking of that, as we're segueing from awards to superheroes, and we're going to talk about more superheroes, Adam Webb comes out next month.
And there's been some rumors.
There's been some stuff going on
coming out about that,
and some stuff that we definitely need to talk about from Jeff Snyder. Because I'm looking at the this podcast I listened to John Rocha. John Rocha, who's fantastic, man. I love that guy.
First of all, can you tell me who Jeff is?
He's an insider.
He's insider.
Yeah, he's the insider. Very well respected guy.
How is he connected to Madam Web?
Well, he's not connected. He's connected to Hollywood, period.
Okay.
So he's connected to all these different movies. He comes on John Rocha podcast almost every Wednesday or every Thursday, and he gives he asks like different scoops. John Rocha try to pick his brain about what's going on in Hollywood, and whether it be Superman legacy casting or whether it be any comic book movies, anything related, movie related. He tells him some stuff, and then some stuff he can't tell him.
Yeah.
And Madam Web, the posters and stuff has been coming out. They got these different little things, the little vignettes and stuff that's been coming out lately. And, John Rocha asked him about what's been going on with Madam Web and what to really expect from it and stuff like that. And, Jeff seems, not saying Jeff is always right. He's not always right.
Right.
But he did kind of spout off some stuff about Madam Web and how the production of it has been going and stuff like that. Because we really haven't been hearing a lot of stuff about this movie at all. Because I've been wondering about that too, because I think they had a second trailer out. Have you seen the second trailer for this?
Have they put out? I didn't even know they put out a second trailer, honestly.
Yeah, they did. I haven't had the inspiration to want to go watch it.
I didn't know. I would have watched it if I would have known.
Yeah, I think it's a second trailer out. They're probably playing the same damn trailer. I haven't really had the inspiration to go and watch it yet. But he's been talking about some of the troubles they've been having so far with the reshoots of this film. And
Have there been reshoots? Because
Yeah,
I haven't even heard about reshoots, honestly.
yeah, there's been reshoots for it. So, from what Jeff Snyder has said, and you can look it up. You can look it up on YouTube right now if you want to. Jeff Snyder was talking about how there was some
there's been a TV spot.
Yeah, a TV spot. Okay, well,
Which is why I haven't seen it, because
I don't know why would you do a TV spot without doing a second trailer, but I digress. Most of the time when you hear reshoots didn't used to be a bad thing.
right.
Back in the early 2000s and late 2000s, you didn't hear about reshoots that frequently as much as you do now. Now you're starting to hear about reshoots and you get worried. Reshoots don't have to be a bad thing.
No.
It doesn't have to be a bad thing. But now more and more you'll be Aquaman, Morbius, what's another movie that has some reshoots? Like Star Wars. Like when you have these reshoots now, everyone gets worried. So apparently the storyline was supposed to be about stopping Peter Parker from being born by killing Mary Jane. Killing Peter Parker's parents. Ben Parker
and May Parker.
And
I think Ben Parker is supposed to be in the movie. I don't know about May so much.
I think so.
It seems to be, it's mostly about protecting Ben.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
I could be wrong.
Which I guess that would make a little sense, because you can't conceive if you don't have sex with the other person.
Yeah.
So I guess that would make sense. But yeah, apparently that's what the storyline was going to be about. And
which isn't a bad plot. It's
not a bad
fairly
plot.
interesting.
When done right.
Right.
And that's the thing with these time travel and these movies that, a person never be born and all this stuff. It has to be done right. And it's been a rarity that time travel movies have been done right. You've had Terminator that was done right. You had Back to the Future that might not have been done right, but it was fun.
Yeah.
And it was a story that told a story over the course of 3 movies. And everything all at once made a whole Oscar off of that movie.
Yeah, that was
so
a
it's
great
like,
film.
Yeah.
And that's a multiverse movie.
It's a multiverse
More than a
film.
time travel movie.
Yeah,
it's a multiverse
It's a multiverse film.
And I'll give that movie props, because they beat Marvel to the multiverse.
Yeah,
they beat most of all these movies to the multiverse.
All of them.
That was one of the first. That's really the first movie that came out that had the multiverse in it. That was like, that's the way I wanted.
That's how it's supposed to be done.
That's the way I wanted to see the multiverse. I love what they introduced in that movie, and There was a time in my life where I was always thinking about like multiverse theory and stuff. That's kind of how I always like thought about it.
That's how it's supposed to be.
And that movie, fantastic movie.
It hits on all the points of what the multiverse is, what it's supposed to be, what it's supposed to look like.
Yeah.
And so I don't have no problem with that, of how those movies have been done. But with Sony, you've had certain movies like Venom was their first live action project. Then you did Morbius. We don't need to talk about Morbius because we talked about that enough. They didn't know what to do it and how to do it. I think when No Way Home came out, they saw all the uproar and all the happiness and joyance in people's faces when they saw Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield back. What they should have did was capitalize on that and do a Spider-Man film.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they should have did. I think if they would have done a Spider-Man film off of that basis, that would have alleviated a lot of the pain,
right?
Alleviated a lot of the people, the pitchforks and torches wouldn't be out on them.
Which, if I remember correctly, I think not too long after that, they did say that, like, hey, we're gonna do Spider-Man and Venom 3.
But see, now you're doing exactly what DC and Disney does. You should have done it.
You're right. They should have done it. But I do believe they're like, hey, we're gonna go forward and we're gonna have Spider-Man featuring Venom 3, and then there hasn't been any more.
No more talk about
it.
And see, that's the thing about it. Like, you're introducing Madam Web into a universe where no one really asked for that.
Mm-hmm.
You got to capitalize when the strike. You got to strike when the iron's hot.
Yeah.
When the iron's hot, you got to strike it. Maybe when Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire appeared, you should have been already trying to get that money ready to roll for these guys. Like, hey man, we got to get Andrew Garfield in another Spider-Man movie. Let's do it. I know we got Tom Holland. Tom Holland was great. People will pop for this.
But you know what? Out of the 3 Spider-Men, Tom Holland's, I don't want to say he's the least liked.
He's the least liked,
but I think he is.
He's the least
You're
liked.
Right. And I've been seeing a lot pop up on the interwebs lately about this conversation that Tom Holland, he's not like the other 2 Spider-Man. Like, the other 2 Spider-Man are, your everyman.
He's the defender. Those are the defender Spider-Mans because they're
the more scrappy ones.
Yeah, they're the scrappy ones.
Tom Holland Spider-Man, very privileged Spider-Man.
Yeah, exactly.
He had the best outcome. He's got the best outcome even from the comic book Spider-Man.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And I think people really enjoyed him when they first put him in the movies, just because, like, oh yeah, Spider-Man's in the MCU.
the way he looked,
and he did match Peter Parker, and people really vibed with that.
Yep.
But I think after No Way Home and the resurgence of, like, oh yeah, you know what, Andrew Garfield was a good Spider-Man. Oh, you know what, Tobey was a good Spider-Man. I think that really
it resonated.
Kind of brought people back to, like, yeah, you know what, we dogged on these movies quite a bit, but those movies were actually pretty good.
And those movies they were pretty good.
Yeah,
and yeah.
That's why I get a little irked sometimes, because I see people praising Amazing Spider-Man 2, and I'm just like, where were you guys?
Where were you guys then?
I was there. I was in the trenches. I was fighting haters off left and right, and I will gladly fight haters off left and right.
And I'm pretty sure Sony's saying the same thing. I say, if more people would have turned out for Amazing Spider-Man 2 like they did, they wouldn't be in this mess like they do now. Oh my God.
I remember the backlash for that movie. People were just hating on it for no reason.
I saw it in IMAX.
I saw it the night it came out too, and like I love that movie so much.
I thought it was good. I thought it had a couple things in there they could have done a little bit better.
You're right. Every movie does, right?
Every movie does.
I think what surprised people is they had the balls to kill Gwen Stacy the way they did.
Yeah.
I don't think people were expecting that.
No,
up until that point, superhero movies didn't really
kill the main character like that.
You're right.
They always kill the villain.
And especially MCU movies. MCU movies played it super safe.
Yeah, they had to.
All the way up to even Infinity War and Endgame. They still played it safe.
And they finally killed Natasha.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert if you haven't seen Infinity War.
Yeah. But, I mean, even then, they could have killed half the whole Avengers cast, and they would have been fine, because that's what happened in Infinity War or whatever. But, like, they played it super safe. So I think that was still kind of surprising, and it that really turned off a lot of people, because Emma Stone and Andrew Garfield had such great chemistry in those movies.
No doubt.
On screen and then off screen, because they dated.
They were dating for a little while too, so
but it's still like the chemistry was on point.
It was unmatchable.
Yeah.
So with all that being said, to get to the point, Jeff Snyder was like, "Hey man, this is what's been going on. They had to do a reshoot because the movie supposed to take place in the 90s.
Right.
Andrew Garfield Spider-Man, it didn't match up with the timeline on which they were doing.
Right. Tom Holland Spider-Man.
With Tom Holland Spider-Man. Right. So they were like, let's just switch it up. Let's remove all the aesthetic from 90s. Mm-hmm. Let's just remove the Andrew Garfield thing and have it be Tom Holland's universe.
Right.
Which I think that is just so ignorantly, flagrantly unprofessional. Because if that is actually true, if Jeff Snyder says it, Grace Randolph, if I watch Grace Randolph this next week and she ends up saying the same thing, I will be even more flagrantly upset because I'm like, you guys spent however time you spent in this room writing this story out, and you guys did all this planning and gearing up for this movie. No one thought to check this out before.
I don't want to.
It's like
I get it because it's Sony. Sony makes other movies. You know what I mean?
Do.
Sony's made other good movies. They make the Spider-Verse movies, which are very good. I don't want to think that Sony is incapable of like fact checking that kind of stuff. I want to think that this movie is supposed to just set up a whole different new guy to be Spider-Man. I don't think this is supposed to be like, this is Tom Holland, this is Andrew Garfield, this is Tobey Maguire. I want to think that this movie happens and then the next Spider-Man movie we get is that Spider-Man movie for the Sony universe.
So, with that being said, because you're speculating, what if that's not the case at all? And what do we get? How are you going to feel coming out this movie and it turns out to be something that we all feared it would be?
I mean, it's a missed opportunity then.
And then you would have to come out. I know you don't want to speak highly bad of Sony and material, because I know what you're talking about. They did do other Sony has done other movies, but those movies were not superhero movies. When you do superhero movies, there's a certain lore that you have to have about it, and you have to. Yeah. You just can't just pump these movies out like you do regular movies, like you do Bullet Train, and like you do all these other movies, like you're doing Argyle. Yeah, like you just can't do that. It's just not fair to the people, because the casual fan, they're just gonna piss on this movie regardless.
They were pissing on this movie even if it wasn't made.
It wasn't even so. They're gonna piss on that idea anyway.
Yeah,
the comic book fan is gonna be even worse because they're gonna dump it on you even worse. And it's like they're not even catching hell from the anti-woke culture, because you would think they would be catching hell because you got three women. Mm-hmm. They don't even care. Like that's scary. That's a scary part. Like because Ms. Marvel had 3 women and people they came out with torches and tiki wrenches and all the other crap.
They'll care when the movie comes out.
They'll probably care when the movie comes out.
Yeah, they'll care when it's more relevant when the movie comes out.
Well, most likely.
Don't worry. They're there. They're just waiting.
Oh, yeah. They're definitely waiting for that. But the thing about it is, if that is the case and you did this, and if it comes out even more next week with Grace Randolph, because I know Grace Randolph is another podcaster and an insider, so she knows a lot of stuff too. And also too with John Campia, who I listen to as well. Like if I get more information about this, that's gonna flagrantly make me mad, because I'm like, you guys have all this material at your hands, like every valuable piece of material, and you guys didn't think about this like then what did we learn our lessons from Morbius? Yeah, it was funny to talk about, it's fun to joke about, but that was totally unprofessional what they did with Morbius. Yeah. Totally. It's like if you knew what you knew then with Morbius, should have just delayed the movie. Yeah. And just said, hey, let's do this. Let's do it the right way. Let's put out the best possible film. I would wait 5 years to get the best film. Like, I'll wait for Superman Legacy. If they can tell us today Superman Legacy ain't gonna be ready until 2026, I would wait. Like, I always wait for the best movie. I don't want to rush anything. Yeah. And Sony is so trying to play catch up with all these other studios, and they're so trying to catch up with money. They're trying to get all this money and all the stuff they can get from it, instead of just putting out the best quality material. You just put out Spider-Man you just had a whole animated 2 Spider-Man movies that were great.
Well, that's why I can't see them making that mistake with Madam Web. I mean, it's just a rumor, but I can't. It doesn't make sense why it would be.
It makes sense to me.
It makes sense to you.
It makes sense.
You're already biased though, and
it makes sense.
And I'm already biased as well. I'm on the other bias, but
you're biased,
and it doesn't. From this, like you said, from the same studio that does Across the Spider-Verse, where you have to have knowledge of all these other different Spider-Man and the Spider-Man stories. It doesn't make sense.
But you gotta understand those different people that are doing that film.
I mean, that's true, but it's still Sony.
Those different people. Yeah, that's still Sony, but we don't. How many times have you ever talked to the head of Sony? How many times have you not talked, but how many times have you seen the head of Sony?
I mean, they stopped returning my phone calls a long time
ago.
Yeah,
I don't know exactly. We have barely ever seen the people from Sony.
No, you're right, but I want to think. This is my speculation. I want to think that they can use this as a springboard into their own new version of Spider-Man, whether it be a Peter Parker, whether it be a Ben Reilly or a Kane or even a Miles or like whatever. I think Madam Web could be a good springboard into that because look, you set up Madam Web now for whatever silly reason you wanted to do it, right? You set up your 3 Spider-Women for whatever reason you chose to. You do Ezekiel. You can kind of hint at the Spider-Verse, the actual comic Spider-Verse story with the interdimensional vampire people family, like Morlun and Karn and all them. If you want to, I think that's a lot. It's a lot.
You're asking now. You're asking a lot of Sony.
I'm not asking them to do that. I think you could. I think they could do that, as an Easter egg. But I think that's a lot to try to set up.
That's a lot to set up.
Because even the Spider-Verse movies didn't even go that route. Yeah, you know what I mean?
No, that's
and
no way.
And I still think, and honestly, the Spider-Verse movies could still go that route if they wanted to. But it's a lot. It's a heavy story. It takes a while.
Hell, we still don't even know what they're tying in with Venom yet. Like
exactly.
Eventually, you're gonna have to tell us who's the damn Spider-Man.
This brings me to the next point, and I was telling you about it a little bit before. I think we are too used to just like having all this information given to us that when movie companies try to keep things under wraps, it just makes everyone more nervous about it. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, no doubt.
And I mean, I don't know, but back in the day, it's like you almost didn't know a movie was coming out until you went to the theater and saw the trailer. Oh, yeah. But now we know how many movies are coming out over the next couple of years. We know like how many sequels are coming out in the next few years.
But that also helps us out too on the long run because look at what we're doing.
Yeah.
That helps us out. That helps out a lot of people that do podcasts and stuff like that.
I mean, yeah, but I kind of like the mystery of it in a way, and I hope that however the movie comes out, I hope whatever they're setting up goes right. I hope they don't have another Morbius situation.
I like the mystery of it too. I do like the mystery of certain movies, but I also like to know what's going on with these films. Yeah. If I'm going to delve in my dollar and put in my dollar, if I'm going to pay to see these movies, I kind of want to know a little bit of tidbit of what you got going here.
Yeah.
Because the first trailer dropped, and he didn't give us a damn thing. He didn't give us a little bit of nothing.
We know they're being chased by some evil version that looks not even a Spider-Man. He looks like a Spider-Man, but he's some other dude.
Yeah, Ezekiel.
And then, we're introducing Madam Web. And, a lot of people dog on the fact that they chose the other version of Madam Web. And you brought that up as well. But if you did the main protagonist as this old, crippled, blind lady,
I mean, well,
how many more people would be like?
Well, here's the deal, though. You didn't have to do that one. You just didn't have to do it at all.
I mean, that's true.
Of all the villains and heroes galore that you just got thrown out, which was pretty damn good, the people that you announced, you could have easily gave us a Black Cat movie. If you gave us a Black Cat movie, that would solve a lot. Now, you still have to introduce a Spider-Man in eventually,
right? Which
they're going to have to do. Like, they're going to have to face the music on some of this.
You are right. And I think,
as much as you want to keep defending Sony, they're going to have to see, like, we can only keep speculating for so long. Like, what are you guys' plans?
Yeah.
Is it going to be, is Tom Holland? Is it going to be Andrew Garfield? Is it going to be Tobey Maguire? Or is it going to be another Spider-Man?
I think they should just get another guy.
I think they should, too.
I would love to see Andrew Garfield back. Don't get me wrong. I would love to see them come back to an Amazing Spider-Man 3, or even I would love to see him fight Venom.
Those guys
even Tom Hardy's Venom. Don't get me wrong, I would love to see it, but I think you just get a new Spider-Man. You just get a new guy to play him. You get your own Spider-Man. Obviously MCU still wants to use Tom Holland. Maybe I don't know what's going on with that.
I have no idea.
There's rumors about that, and honestly, I don't think anything's been put from pen to paper. You know what I mean?
Nothing's been put to pen to paper on that. So, I don't know what's going on with that.
I think you introduce a new guy to play Spider-Man. I think you can still have the Madam Web aspect, right?
You probably could.
Because I think you have this movie. Obviously, this is set before Peter's born, right?
Yeah, whichever Peter.
So say Cassandra's in her 30s, right? Yeah. Because how old is Dakota Johnson? Like 32, 35 or something like that? Yeah. So say she's as old as her actress is.
Yeah.
You skip up, 20, 30 years. You have an adult Spider-Man. You skip the high school stuff.
Yeah,
right.
You would have to.
You give us an adult Spider-Man, or maybe a college professor, or whatever version you want to give us. Give us a real adult Spider-Man.
Because we've had the high school version of him already.
We've seen him 2 or 3 times over.
In high school.
It's done. It's over with, right? So you give us an adult Spider-Man, and then you can introduce the aged up Madam Web.
I wouldn't mind that.
Right. Right. You can use that as a springboard. Be like, all right, cool. This is 30 some odd years later. This is how she's aged. Whatever. Maybe she gets crippled in this movie. They do the bit where she gets all her things that make her recognizable. Because, like Solo where they throw him the gun.
Yeah.
That's a joke. Don't do that. But you can reintroduce the aged up Madam Web in that movie. And then you can have that mentor-mentee dynamic that Spider-Man kind of had with her.
In the animated series and the comics.
Right. Which I think is the only thing most people know Madam Web from.
A lot of people, because there's never been really a big.
She's not a huge character.
She's not a huge and interesting character. That just begs the question of why did you guys decide to do this one? That's why I really want.
There has to be a plan. There has to be a plan.
There has to be a plan on this because
I really do think they are trying to play it close to the chest because they already know that. Again, they're behind the bullet a lot.
They're behind the bull hard.
They're behind it so much. People just hate on them for no reason.
No, it's not for no reason.
It's not for no reason. You're right. But like still, the hate for them goes way harder than it should.
Yeah, it probably does.
You know what I mean?
It probably does. But it's just when you shoot yourself in the foot so many times and you continually to keep doing it, that's when the problem goes in. And your speculation about it, I would love all of that. But I'm almost 89% sure. No, damn that. Check that. I'm almost 98% sure that is not what they're going to do. And that's the part that hurts.
You're probably right.
That's the part that hurts.
Upsetting,
yeah, and that's the part that's upsetting because if you was in that writing room and you said all those things, I would be 100% with that. I was like, you know what? Okay, I can dig that.
Yeah.
But
because you can just use this as a springboard into a new Spider-Man.
You can.
30 some odd years later, you're like, all right, cool.
That idea would be perfect.
We're setting up Madam Web. 30 years later, we're going to introduce a new Spider-Man. You can, hell, at that point, you can almost do a Spider-Man 2099. Well, no, you couldn't because, never mind, that wouldn't work out.
Yeah, the years don't match up.
Redact that.
Yeah.
But there's a way you can do it, and hopefully they do it. And, I'll go see the movie. And
we're both going to see the movie.
And I'll probably talk about it like I talk about Morbius, right? I don't think Morbius was that great of a movie. But I liked the first 30 minutes of Morbius because I feel.
Yay, man. I got my head down right now and I'm letting you go with it.
No, I feel like as far as like a supervillain origin story for a Spider-Man villain goes, it hits the mark. Mad scientist doing some wacky experiment becomes a vampire man. You know what I mean? It fit. Where that movie falls apart is where he's getting used to all his powers, and then his friend comes over, and he's like, hey, can you help me with my sickness? Oh, no, I can't control this. You don't want this. We just saw you do a whole montage.
And see, here's my thing with that. Even with Morbius, why give us a Morbius film when there's even more villains in Spider-Man galore you could have gave us?
You're right. I don't know why they did a Morbius film. I don't know what they were going for.
That's a random-ass villain to give us. Like, Craven, I have at you. I'll have at thee. I will concede that if you're going to give us a Spider-Man villain, that would be the guy.
Yeah. I think you re-edit Morbius into a 30-minute short film. And then you just make it like a web film.
Morbius is somebody you put in a film with another
You're
hero.
right. No, and
that would have worked.
I'm not disagreeing with you on that. I think you are very much correct.
Like Venom and Craven, I will concede. Those are two guys that you could do movies on.
Yeah.
I will give you that.
I don't know why they did Morbius.
I don't know why they did Morbius. And I feel like that's where we're headed down with Madam Web. That's all I'm saying. I really hope everything that's not true.
Okay, no, that's not entirely false. I think Morbius was meant to be a low-key introduction to their new version of Spider-Man. And then it just fell apart with like the whole No Way Home stuff happening at the same time.
Big time apart.
I think Sony was trying to play with Disney, and Disney wasn't trying to play back, and then they had to like kind of reconfigure their scripts. I think there's a lot behind the scenes that we don't know about that happened during the production of that movie and No Way Home that kind of made Morbius the way it is. I definitely think there's a different version of Morbius that we will probably never see.
We'll never see it. We'll never see that.
There is a Sony cut of that movie, but I don't know. I have my own theories about that.
Well, I guarantee you we'll never see that.
Like I said, it seemed like they were going to have a Spider-Man in that film.
Yeah, they shot in the background with Spider-Man.
There were fight scenes in that movie that felt like, if this was him versus Spider-Man, it would make a lot more sense.
You saw a picture in the background with Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man.
Yeah. So I definitely think they tried to do something there, and they kind of got derailed for one reason or another.
For whatever reason, it got derailed.
And maybe Madam Web is their new way of kind of trying to get back onto their plan. I don't know. We'll see. And like I said, we're not used to just films being secret anymore. So we're not really getting a whole lot of information from Sony about it, and that's what's making people nervous.
Yeah.
I'm along for the ride. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna try to enjoy it as best I can, and we'll pick it apart if we need to.
Oh, we definitely will.
And,
we definitely will on that one.
And I'll probably have the same well, you know, that middle 30 minutes, James. I am.
No, man.
I am the person I am.
You are on the path. You are dying on that hill, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, I'm gonna love these movies, man. If anything, they're making them for me.
Yeah,
and only me. And I will piece this together on my crazy conspiracy wall and be like, well, if you want, I mean, like that good, Charlie Day meme from What's Always Sunny.
Hey, man, hey, I'm not telling you not to support it, man. You do what you want to do. Yeah. I'm a little worried about it. Hopefully it works out.
It's understandable. I mean, I get being worried about it. I'm a little nervous for it too. I remain hopeful.
Because I hate to see things being done in an ignorant way when you just have everything that's right there in your hands.
And you're right. Yeah.
You got the raw material in your hands.
I think what also hurts them, they had to delay Kraven the Hunter.
Yeah.
Due to the writers and actor strike. And I think if Kraven would have came out, because Kraven looks like it's going to be pretty solid.
It like it could be a solid film.
You know?
It looked like it could be solid. Aaron Taylor Johnson was kind of the guy on the rise at the Bullet Train. And he did some other little
He's
movies.
A great character actor.
He is a great character actor.
Kraven's a great story to do because Kraven existed his whole adult life before moving to New York and hunting Spider-Man.
He did.
You know,
I'm still curious about that when I say, so you're going to turn a good guy eventually into a bad guy.
I mean, he's a hunter. You know, he's a hunter, and he also just kind of goes crazy, right?
Yeah.
Like
but it's like,
I don't know.
You fall in love with that character, and then all of a sudden he just turns on you, right? On the slip of a dime.
It depends on how they write him. You know what I mean? But we'll find out.
We'll find out when that comes out.
Over the summer? I don't know when it comes out.
Does it come out during the summertime?
Summer or October?
Or October.
I think Venom comes out in October.
Yeah, in October.
So it has to be like sometime in the summer.
Okay. Yeah, we're going to find out about that.
But anyway, that movie's got Chameleon in it. They're doing Rhino in it, which I'm kind of interested to see how that turns out because he's like turning himself into a rhino.
Yeah. That's gonna be fun too.
It can be fun.
That can be fun. I'm holding out hope. I never want to see any movie do bad.
Yeah,
but
I think it just hurts them that like this is the next movie to come out before Venom 3 or even before Kraven. Kraven could have came out and Venom 3 could have came out, and then people maybe would have been more excited. You're like, okay, now we kind of get what's going on. And that might be why they had to do reshoots, is because like, well, in the way these movies come out, we can't tease this because this was supposed to be for this movie or whatever, and we'll see.
We'll see, man. A sidebar, have you been seeing like the Deadpool photos? They got some more photos got leaked.
I saw something about like there's another Deadpool variant.
Yeah, he had like long hair, he had a ponytail and stuff. I don't know. And then he had they got the poster, I guess like a t-shirt or whatever. It has a Wolverine with the actual mask on.
Right.
Deadpool.
I've seen that. But apparently there's been some other kind of photos leaked, and that was determined generated by AI.
Well, yeah, I know those. I know those were fake.
Yeah, so I don't know.
But no, this is recent. This is I just saw it. I think I saw it yesterday.
Yeah.
It was Deadpool holding a dog.
Yeah, Dogpool, because they're doing Dogpool.
Dogpool. Mm-hmm. Then you had the other Deadpool. He had like another shiny gear, and he had on like a ponytail and
he had like a Thor
type Thor hairdo going on. So I'm curious about that one, but I just want to throw that at you real quick.
Yeah, I'm concerned for that movie just because.
You're concerned about that movie?
Hey man, look,
you're concerned about that movie.
I am the way I am. All right, but. Just because they're doing Deadpool Kills the Fox universe, and I know they're doing Deadpool Kills the Fox universe.
Well, we all know at this point now, because I think the original character, Liv Schreiber. Liev Schreiber, he's coming back to play Wolverine, play Sabretooth. So
they got Toad in there somewhere.
They got Toad. I'm pretty sure Halle Berry.
I think they're bringing back the X-23 girl.
Yeah, they're bringing back X-23 girl. So everybody's coming back.
Which is a shame because she was so good in Logan, and like you could have kept her around to be X-23.
Yeah. So she's coming back. Everybody's coming back for this one.
And I don't know. I'm scared. Oh, it's also just because like the first two Deadpool movies were so grounded.
Well, the first one definitely
the first one, but even the second one, like
the second was okay.
The second was good. I recently saw the scene where like they first show Juggernaut in that movie, and he like rips Deadpool in half.
Yeah,
and it's still such a good scene.
Oh, I love that scene.
And and the way they did Juggernaut in that movie.
Oh, he looked so comic book accurately,
dude.
Video game accurately.
Just fantastic.
Yeah, I love that they did that.
So
one.
it's just is to go from those two like really grounded movies
to go
like,
to this
the huge like MCU style.
Oh, they did that. Same thing they did with Ant-Man. They went from 2 grounded movies to this big sci-fi epic special that was just totally flopped.
Now they're not doing it on a soundstage as much anymore, so that's nice.
Yeah,
but I don't know, man. We'll see how that one turns out. And I know it is crazy for me not to be worried.
Yeah, because like
I mean, I'm worried about Madam Web too, but it's just like I don't know. The conversation about Madam Web is a conversation about every other Sony movie, and I feel like MCU fans are kind of experiencing that for the first time.
Yeah,
in a very at all really since the first first Iron Man. You know what I mean? Like every movie that came out after the first Iron Man was just like, oh, this is great. Everything's out of the park. Sony sucks. Universal sucks, and blah 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 blah. And now it's getting to the point where like, oh, why are MCU movies bad now? And like, why are we not liking any of this stuff anymore? And it's just like, well,
hey, I mean, look, we beating this up into infinity on this show. So I'm not gonna go back over it again.
I know.
You know, you're right. You're right. But
you experience so many wins, and then when you start getting some losses,
it happens. It happens. It's like, it happens. You know, it's just the Patriots were undefeated, and then they had like 2 or 3 years where they were just straight up trash. Still good, but just not as good as they used to be.
Yeah, but I mean, you know,
it happens.
If you're a fan,
you're
a fan.